Hey, friends, Carolyn here. And I just felt like doing a video for a little while, talking about loneliness and shame. Fun stuff. This is not a TED Talk. This is not a self help video. This is just going to be a very old fashioned 2008 style, video log, as we called them back in the day. Video logs. You all remember video logs, vlogs, vlogs. And yeah, I'm doing it because I'm doing this because, I am, like a lot of people, I'm experiencing a lot of loneliness, I think, perhaps particularly because of, COVID related quarantining and things being shut down and stuff. But certainly I've experienced loneliness for a prolonged period of time that goes beyond just COVID. And I think loneliness is a kind of epidemic, really, in our society. And if anything, I hope that part of what comes out of these experiences that we're all collectively having due to COVID is perhaps more attention given to loneliness itself as a kind of epidemic in its own right. Yeah, so this is not tailored to be. This is not an advice video, and certainly I'm no expert. I'm just an individual who, I'm doing this because I thought, well, one thing that might make me feel less lonely is talking about my loneliness and sending it out into the world. So that of course, I certainly hope that if you're watching this, that you get something out of it, even if it's just the pleasure of kind of connecting virtually with another human being for a short while. Yeah, my motivation for doing this is, I think, just to because it feels like a way of doing something about my loneliness in some small way. So, one thing I guess that I've been thinking about in particular for the past, few weeks, maybe more with regard to my loneliness, is this issue of shame. And I think I've realized more so in recent weeks, something that, uh, it's pretty glaring now that I think about it and now that I'm aware of it. But it was so much a texture, just a kind of constant texture of my life for so long that I wasn't aware of it as a thing, because it just felt like normal. Like, oh, this is just like how it is. Like, this is just who I am. Rather than, this is something that I've internalized. So shame. And I think that, I'm no expert by any means at all on the work of like Brene Brown. I've only watched a few, little YouTube videos and stuff in which she talks about these things. I haven't like read any of her books, but just even listening to her talk a bit, in YouTube videos and whatnot, has been useful for me as a way of, being aware of the shame that I have carried around for so long as a byproduct of the trauma that I, I think that the shame comes from a lot of things, but let's say the foundation of the shame rather, is the childhood like trauma that I experienced. So, there were just a lot of upheaval and instability and, violence in my family growing up. And I think, Brene Brown says that whenever you experience trauma, there's always shame as a component of it. And I think, for me, it was similar, the kind of stereotypical, well, if I'd been a better kid, my dad wouldn't have acted out that way. He wouldn't have drank so much. He wouldn't have been this raging alcoholic. My family wouldn't have, my parents would have stayed together. Things wouldn't have been so just turbulent and unstable and violent all the time. So it's like from a very young age, I feel like there were these mechanisms in my body or in my just psychological, emotional makeup that got accustomed to like building like a fortress of shame, right? Like they understood that I should be ashamed, and they, or which I shouldn't have been ashamed, but this is what we somehow we feel that we should be ashamed, right? So yeah, but then, let's say even after I left, I moved out of my family, my parents' home, my family home after college and everything. I still, I have these structures of shame inside of me, and these machines that like to build them higher and higher and stronger find new constant material with which to do that in so many sources, right? Capitalism and me being a trans person who has struggled particularly in recent years to find like steady work, even though I know that I am smart and really good at certain things and have held down, have done jobs really well in the past. Like when I find myself financially struggling to find work, all of these things, like that becomes a source of shame. Anxieties about money, right, feed into shame. But probably nothing in my life feeds into my shame more effectively than being a trans person in a transphobic world, right? And like being misgendered. I notice this, like if I'm, say, misgendered at the grocery store or wherever, which, happens all the time. Like I'm just perennially misgendered, and that's probably always going to be the way that it is, just realistically. But and I mean, I don't have to like being misgendered, and I don't, and I never will like it. But I don't have to, there I think has been a component in me that has been like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I don't fit into the box well enough. I am failing as, the transgender woman that I am. I'm not doing it well enough. Whatever. Like, it doesn't have to make logical sense to be something that those machines inside of me that are just looking for building material will latch onto and use to build those structures kind of ever higher and ever stronger. And I feel like becoming aware of the shame itself as like not like something intrinsic to who I am, not like a core part of my identity, but as this thing that I've internalized and that I don't need and that doesn't do me any good. It doesn't like benefit me in any way. It is really valuable. I mean, I have to kind of be vigilant in a way about like what is happening inside of me at any given time, and because like if I notice the shame and then I can think to myself, okay, I'm carrying that, like I don't need it, like just set it aside, like it doesn't have to be, and it's not like snapping a finger and like I'm cured, but it's certainly better than the awareness of it and being mindful of it and kind of at least sort of psychologically going through the act of like, okay, that's not, I don't need that. Like, I have no reason to be ashamed. There's no reason for me to feel like this completely unworthy person, creature, thing. Um, it's that is it, miles better, far better than the default for me for so long, which was just like carrying it around and not being aware of it as a thing I was carrying around, like just perpetuating it and just living in the space of that shame as this just constant thing that was a part of me. I think Brene Brown talks a lot about how shame, um, you know, um, there's like empathy and shame, and shame, pulls us away. Shame can like pull us kind of inwards, I think, right? I mean, if you feel like you're not worthy, right? If you feel like you're this, just, yeah, this like, this unworthy being, then, how are you going to like connect with other people in ways that are meaningful and valuable and healthy? But it's what's so difficult about that, and what's so kind of diabolical about it, is that, of course, like, precisely what I need most, as a person who, I mean, um who struggles with loneliness, is close, healthy, connection with other people. And yet shame is this thing inside of you that, or inside of me certainly, that made the prospect of that like far more difficult and unlikely. It's not like being aware of shame. It either means, oh well, now I can just go out and like have close connections with people, because I am still a trans person living in a transphobic world. I am still, yeah, I mean, it's just like anyone. It's not like I can just go out and form close connections with anyone out in the world, right? And finding people to form close connections with, or who I feel like I can actually do that with in a real way, is not exactly a piece of cake, right? But at least I'm in like a better place to do that, if I'm not sort of carrying the weight of these like massive structures of shame that have been built up since like my earliest childhood memories, right? And that, but that have constantly into my adulthood and into my current age, still find the world feeding them reasons to sort of expand and elaborate in their architecture. So, I guess, I just wanted to talk, to ramble about that for a little while. I don't know if I'll do more of these or not, but I think just the experience of acknowledging that I'm struggling with those things, or I have struggled with them. But at least now I know that I have those things, and that, hey, like loneliness sucks, and if you are experiencing loneliness right now, either long term, something that's been going on for years and years and years, as certainly it is in my life, or it's just something that's been like really exacerbated by COVID, hey, I really, I feel for you. I mean, I think loneliness, it does so many things to our bodies, like, that are really not good for us. I was thinking recently, like, how a few years ago I spent just a few days in a house, like on a trip with a few friends, people who I trusted, who I felt safe around, who I knew weren't gonna like misgender me, who I knew actually see me for the person I am. And like, physiologically, like, it did something to me just being in that space. Like I slept better, you know, I was like, my body, I don't know if it's my hormones or, you know, what kind of chemical thing, you know, things are being released in my brain or my body. But, you know, I mean, it's like we are meant to be close knit with other people, or certainly like, you know, I am. You know, we're social creatures. Unfortunately, it can be really, really hard to find the people with whom we can be and are meant to be close knit, because Lord knows, like, there's a whole lot of people on this planet who I never would want to be closely associated with, but there are people who I would want to be close with. You know, it's just a matter of like finding them and hoping that they feel some of that for me as well, and figuring out how to build those communities. But anyway, yeah, you know, so you know, loneliness sucks, and but you know, you don't need to carry shame around all the time. There's really no reason for it. It's not doing you any good. You certainly don't deserve to do that. It's only cutting you off from yourself and from others and from, you know, enjoying human existence and the world, right? I mean, I feel like it's a very, you know, subtle thing, but even just like having set shame aside to some extent, you know, as I think I've sort of managed to do in you know, in recent weeks and months, it's like I at least can feel a little more plugged into my life moment to moment, you know, to appreciating the beauty of a nice day, you know, a moment sitting in the park reading a book, you know, enjoying a video game or whatever it is. Like, it's easier to do that when there isn't this cloud of shame just festering inside of me all the time, or inside of you. So anyway, hey, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I hope if you did watch this, I hope, you know, you got something out of it, and take care. And yeah, bye for now.